You know that feeling when someone just won't leave your mind? When you're supposed to be focused on work, but suddenly you're wondering what she's doing right now. When her laugh echoes in your head hours after you've said goodbye? Here's something most guys don't realize. When a woman can't stop thinking about you, her behavior changes in very specific, measurable ways. And today, we're going to decode exactly what those changes mean. But here's the thing that might surprise you. Sometimes, when she's thinking about you constantly, it's not always the green light you think it is. In fact, neuroscience shows us that obsessive thinking can signal something entirely different. So before you get too excited about that attention, let's dive deep into what's really happening in her mind. When a woman can't stop thinking about you, her brain is literally experiencing a chemical reaction. Dr. Helen Fisher's research on romantic attraction shows that when we're intensely attracted to someone, our brains release dopamine in the same pattern as cocaine addiction. Yes, you heard that right. She's essentially getting high off thoughts of you. But here's where it gets interesting. This dopamine release creates what psychologists call an intermittent reinforcement schedule. The more uncertain she is about your feelings, the more her brain craves that dopamine hit. So when she's texting you constantly, checking your social media, or finding excuses to be around you, she's not just interested. She's chemically dependent on the uncertainty you're creating. The key sign to watch for? She starts doing things that seem almost compulsive. Maybe she's liking old photos on your Instagram, or she's suddenly interested in your hobbies that she never cared about before. This isn't calculated strategy, it's her brain literally seeking its next fix. And if you're seeing this pattern, you've got more power in this dynamic than you realize. Now, here's where things get complicated. When someone occupies your thoughts constantly, it's not always because of positive feelings. Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby, shows us that anxious attachment styles can create obsessive thinking patterns. If she's thinking about you nonstop, she might actually be terrified of losing you. Watch for these specific behaviors. She's analyzing every text you send, looking for hidden meanings. She's talking about you excessively to her friends, seeking reassurance. She's creating scenarios in her head about what you're thinking or feeling. This isn't confidence, it's anxiety masquerading as interest. The woman who's truly confident in her attraction to you. She thinks about you, sure, but she's not consumed by it. She's not refreshing your Instagram story to see if you viewed hers. She's not losing sleep wondering if you're talking to other girls. When you see obsessive patterns, you're often looking at fear, not desire. And here's something fascinating. Studies show that people with anxious attachment styles often mistake this emotional intensity for deep connection. So she might be telling herself, and you, that she's never felt this way about anyone before. But what she's actually experiencing is the anxiety of uncertain attachment, not the calm confidence of genuine compatibility. Cognitive psychology reveals something most people miss. When we can't stop thinking about someone, we're often projecting our own desires and insecurities onto them. If she's constantly wondering what you're doing, what you're thinking, who you're with, she might be processing her own internal conflicts through you. Here's what this looks like in practice. She's asking you questions that reveal more about her fears than genuine curiosity. Do you think I'm pretty? Are you talking to other girls? What do you really think about me? These aren't signs of interest, they're signs of internal validation seeking. The woman who's genuinely interested in you as a person asks different questions. She wants to know about your dreams, your opinions, your experiences. She's curious about who you are, not just how you feel about her. When someone is constantly thinking about you but only in relation to themselves, you're dealing with narcissistic tendencies, not romantic interest. This is why it's crucial to pay attention to the quality of her thoughts, not just the quantity. Is she thinking about you because she's fascinated by who you are? Or is she thinking about you because she's trying to figure out how to get validation from you? The difference will determine whether this leads to a healthy connection or an exhausting emotional drain. When a woman can't stop thinking about you, She might be using you as a benchmark for everyone else in her life. Social comparison theory, developed by Leon Festinger, explains that we evaluate ourselves relative to others. If you've become her gold standard, every other interaction she has gets measured against the way you make her feel. This creates a dangerous dynamic. She starts rejecting potentially good matches because they don't give her the same rush you do. She stops being present in other relationships because she's always comparing them to whatever fantasy she's built around you. This isn't flattering, it's problematic. The signs are subtle but telling. She mentions you in conversations that have nothing to do with you. She compares other guys to you, either favorably or unfavorably. She seems unable to enjoy experiences without wondering how they'd be different if you were there. This isn't healthy interest, it's emotional dependency. If you're enjoying the ego boost of being her measuring stick, be careful. You're not dealing with someone who's choosing you because of who you are. You're dealing with someone who's avoiding dealing with her own relationship patterns by fixating on you. And that's a recipe for disappointment on both sides. If you've found this helpful so far, hit that like button because we're just getting started. Perhaps the most dangerous sign of all, when she's thinking about you so much that she's not actually getting to know the real you. Fantasy becomes more appealing than reality, and she starts falling in love with her version of you, not the actual you. Dr. Dorothy Tenev's research on limerence shows that when someone is in this state, they actively avoid information that might contradict their idealized version of the other person. So if she's constantly thinking about you but seems to ignore your flaws, your clearly stated boundaries, or your actual personality traits that don't match her fantasy, you're in dangerous territory. Watch for these red flags. She talks about a future together before you've even established what you want. She assumes you share opinions or values without actually asking. She gets upset when you act in ways that don't match her mental image of you. She's not falling for you, she's falling for a character she's created in her mind. The woman who's genuinely interested in you wants to know the real you, flaws and all. She asks questions that might challenge her assumptions. She's willing to have her mental image of you updated by new information. When someone is more invested in their thoughts about you than in actually understanding you, that's not love developing, that's delusion taking root. Finally, we need to talk about the modern dating landscape and how constant thinking has become a form of currency. In our attention economy, giving someone your mental space is seen as the ultimate gift. But here's what most people don't understand. Quality attention and quantity attention are completely different things. When she tells you she can't stop thinking about you, she might be trying to communicate value. She's essentially saying, "Look how much mental energy I'm investing in you." But investment of time and energy doesn't automatically equal genuine interest or compatibility. Sometimes it just means she has poor boundaries around her own mental space. The woman who's truly interested in building something real with you manages her attention intentionally. She thinks about you, but she also has a full life that doesn't revolve around you. She invests mental energy in you, but she also invests it in her own goals, friendships, and personal growth. When someone's thoughts about you become compulsive rather than intentional, you're not looking at someone who's falling in love. You're looking at someone who's lost control of their own mental space. And that's not the foundation for a healthy relationship, it's a warning sign of emotional instability. So the next time someone tells you they can't stop thinking about you, don't just take it as a compliment. Ask yourself, what kind of thinking is this? Is it the thoughtful consideration of someone who's genuinely interested in building a connection? Or is it the obsessive rumination of someone who's more interested in the feeling you give them than in who you actually are? Remember, the goal isn't to be someone's drug of choice. It's to be someone's conscious choice. There's a world of difference between someone who chooses to think about you and someone who simply can't stop. The most attractive thing you can be is someone worth thinking about for the right reasons. And the most valuable thing you can offer is your attention to someone who's earned it through genuine interest, not just chemical dependency. What do you think? Have you ever been in a situation where someone's constant thoughts about you felt more overwhelming than flattering? Drop a comment below and let's continue this conversation. And if this opened your eyes to some patterns you've been missing, make sure you subscribe for more insights that cut through the noise of modern dating. Because understanding the psychology behind attraction isn't just interesting, it's essential for building connections that actually last. The next time you find yourself thinking about someone nonstop, remember, your thoughts are telling you something important. The question is, are you listening to what they're really saying?